In this video we will see how to create simple applications and respond to events when user click a button. So first we will start by creating a new project. So open Android Studio and then select new project. Then this window will come up. Then select empty activity. Here we want to create a application for phone. Notice here you could select different platform, TV and automotive, but for now we'll focus on phone and tablets. Select empty activity and click next. Here you could give it a name, for example events example app, something like that. Okay, and this is a package name. We will accept the default that what they were provided. Then make sure you select Java here, and here we have minimum SDK is API 23 is fine. So that means this application will run until any version Android 6 Marshmallow and above, and which is good. So now I will click finish. Here the application is created, as you can see, and we have this is a Java class, and this is the XML file that represent the user interface. Okay, for any activity or for any page or screen on a phone, we have two files: Java class, that where we add the functionality. For example, when the user click a button, we want to respond to that, displaying message, maybe saying hello or changing the background color, uploading information to the server. Any type of functionality will be done within main activity class. Okay, then we have the activity underscore main XML. This represents the user interface. Okay, the user interface basically has it displays what the user will see on the screen, such as a button, text view, images, all this. Okay, so the user could interact with the application using the user interface. Good. So the user interface, actually it is XML file. If you want to see the XML file, click on code here, then it will show you this is the XML file. As you could see here, this is a constraint layout, and currently it contains one UI element, which is a text view. Text view allow you to display text on the screen, and it displaying hello world, this text basically. Okay. You could modify the file here in the XML format, or also you could see the design mode. This is basically how it will appear on the phone. So it will display text here, and this is how it will look. Okay, you could show the code and let me minimize this so you could see. So side by side, this is the XML file, this is the UI. Okay, good. So for now I will just show the design, because we could do everything we want from the design mode here. Good. Sometime in the design it will show you like both the design and blueprint. So if you, for example, if you click on this icon here at the top, it shows design, blueprint. The blueprint, basically this is the skeleton of the application, the basic. It will show what are the components, or sometimes it could show this side by side. You have the design, and the blueprint basically it shows you all the components in the UI. If there is color and so on, it will remove it and just show you the blueprint of the page. And but this is in the design is how it should look on the phone. Okay, and basically most of the time we don't need to see the blueprint. If you for example, if you want to hide it, just select design. Okay, so it will show you the design. And so this is the user interface. So the user interface contain number of UI components or UI elements, what the user will see on the screen. And basically here in this side here you could see component tree. It will show the list of UI elements available here. Currently it's telling us there is the container, which is layout, constraint layout. Then inside that we have a text view. Text view is a UI element that allow you to display text, and it is displaying hello world. Okay. If you want to change the text or you want to change the property, just select it here, or you just click on it here, then it will be highlighted. Then in this attribute editor, you could basically change the text, for example, to anything you like, and then basically it will display that. Okay, if you want to select more, for example, click on it again and then come here, the UI example. Maybe you could change the text color, you could do many things. Basically you have this attribute, all this attribute you could change. See? Okay, so this is the text, for example, text color. If I want to change the text color for something, for example, I could do, I am selecting red, notice now it is red. Okay, also I could change besides the text color, I could change the text size. Let me see, text size to be here. So sometimes the attributes a lot, you could actually filter it out by typing here text. So it will show you all the attributes that related to text that you could change. For example, text color and all caps. If you want to display the caps, this text size, so I could change the text size like this, make it bigger. Okay, I could make it bold and so on. Okay. Then I could move it to the top here, basically. Okay, now let's run this on the, just to see how it look on the emulator. At the top here you will see the emulator we created last time. It should show the emulator here. So currently I have emulator Pixel 2 in my device. Okay, if you don't have one, you could create one by going to, by selecting device manager. Okay, device manager, you could get it from here. If you go to tools, then you will go to sometimes AVD manager or device manager. Okay, select the device manager or AVD manager, and then you will see create virtual device. You click on it here. Then for example you could select Pixel 4, the phone that you want to create, and click next. Now here we selected the phone. Here you could select which Android version you want to install. Then in my case I have API 26 already downloaded. If you want to download a new one, you just click on download. It will go download For example, if I select this one, it will go and download that one and so on. Okay, but if for my case here, I have this 26 already installed, then I will choose that one, and then once you download this operating system, click next and click finish. What this will do, will create the emulator here. They have Pixel 4 is created and so on. Now I could close this one here. Now you should be able to see Pixel 4 as one of the options. You could select it and run this on that device. Okay, or if you want to run it in a different device, so let me run it here. So this is the emulator. In your case, maybe it will appear somewhere here, which is fine. So it's still loading. See, here's processing, loading this, and then you just wait for it. Eventually, it will show the application on this phone. If you want, you could run it also in a real phone or in emulator. So now let me see. I have to switch it on, and then basically you could see here I have the application is installed on this. Okay, very good. So now what we want to do, we want to do some UI, add some UI elements into this. So in order to add UI elements, basically if you look here, you have this palette, you have all UI components or UI elements that you could select from and drag and drop it to the UI. So this is some of the common UI elements. Text view allow you to display text. Button, for example, allows the user to submit or click to submit data. Image view allow you to display images and so on. So now this is a text view, basically. See, displaying text. Let's add a button. I will drag, click on the button, drag, and then basically drop it in this UI. Notice it will show you the button. Then you could position it any location you want, and basically you have to add the constraints to it like this. Okay? Add the constraint, or click on this one to infer the constraint, so it will add all the constraints for you. Okay, now if you want to see how this looks, stop the current application by clicking the red icon here and run it again, so it will show you the button on the screen. So now let's see the device. I think I have it here. I have two emulators running, like this one is on this one. I think it's running on this one. You see here we have this button. So now we have the button is shown. Should I have the other emulator also running, which I think it's this. Good. So if I run it on that one also, now you will see it will display in this emulator basically. Basically you could have more than one emulator in your device, and basically start testing the phone how it looks in a different devices and so. Good. Let's add another text view. Drag and drop. This is the text view. You see now it's adding this constraint to it, and basically the constraint basically it tells the UI how to position the item. Notice here in this component tree, if it shows you like a red icon here, that means there is something missing, constraint, and basically you have to add the constraint. Select the item and add infer constraint, and it will add the constraint, and then the error will go out. Okay, now you could test it to see how it looks. And basically this is how it looks. This is the text view, this is the button, this is another text view. And if you want to add, allow the user to enter text, select text here. Notice I could drag and drop this plain text, select this one, drag and drop. Basically now let's add constraint to it. Is here it shows you this error, says something missing. Say okay, first let's add the constraint. Okay, it added the constraint. Still I have this error. Then click on it. It shows you okay the length. Consider making the height of basically changing the height a little bit. So it's okay, fix that one, and the error will go away. Very good. Now let's run this, see how it looks on the device. So you see now this is I could enter the name here, I could click the button, and basically we didn't add any functionality to it, so we just built it the user interface. So but the user could enter text here, and we refer to this as edit text, and this is a button, and this is text view. Okay, very good. So if we look into the code quickly, you will see with each drag and drop it's adding this UI element into the XML file. For example, this is the text view with displaying UI example, and here it shows you the text color and so on. See, all these attributes is added here for you. Button, it added a button, it added a text view basically to display the text. This is the edit text where we could enter the username and so on. Okay, notice in this attributes for each UI element you have two important attributes. One is the ID of the element. Okay, here for example it says Android ID text view. So text view is the ID for this one. For a button, ID is button. Okay, and for the second text view, ID is text view 2. And for the edit text, it says edit text person name. So this is the ID that provided automatically. We could change it if we want. I will show you how to change it later on. The other attributes for each UI is the width and height. Okay, what is the width of the element and what is the height of the element? Okay. Wrap content mean, okay, make the element big enough to based on the data that is content. Okay. For example here, text view, say wrap content, so it will be the width and height will be big enough to based on the content here to display this content. If I have this more text here, it will be bigger to accommodate the text and so on. Okay. For button also the same thing, wrap content. Here notice this also says wrap content for width and height. Besides wrap contents, we could say match parent. Match parent mean, okay, it will take all available space of the parent. For example, if I change the button here to match parent with match parent and I save this, now when you look into the design to see what is the effect of this, you see the button is taking the width that all available, it's stretching to take all the available space. Okay, and yeah, maybe if I want to return it back to wrap content, I could change it from here also. Instead of match parent, I could change it to wrap content, and then it will go to the big enough to contain the data. Okay, you notice if I increase the text here, it will be big enough based on button, and for example this will make it big enough to contain the data. Good. So now if you want to change the ID, basically you could change the ID from here. So search ID, then see the ID is shown here, button, and for each element you just select the element, it will show you the ID, edit text person. For example, if you want to change this one, I could change it to username, user underscore name underscore edit text, something like that. Okay, then it will change. Okay, very. So now we created this user interface. We want to add some functionality to it. In order to add functionalities, we will do that in Java class. So how we do that? We will go to the main activity, the Java, click it from here or from here. Okay. So here, once you open this, we will create a number of variables here inside the class. Notice this class contains main activity that extend activity, app compact activity. That means it inherits a lot of data members and methods from this class. Okay, and currently we have one method on create. Basically, this is a method that will be called or invoked when we start the application. Okay, very good. So now here we will do the following. So we'll create variable, for example, button, create variable of type buttons. Notice here, if it shows you the button in red, that means it's not recognizing button. So just import that one. Click here, say import class. Okay, you could select this one, or sometimes just delete the last character and time it again. Then it will show you the list of possible classes that you could import. Then we will select button, the first option, and basically it will import that one here. Okay. So similarly we'll create edit text, username, edit text, and also we create text view, okay. So basically here we are creating variable for button, edit text, and text view. This represent variable of type button, variable of type edit text, and so edit text and button are classes. Basically we are creating instance of these classes. Okay. For text view, if you want to display text, edit text if you want to allow the user to enter text, button basically so the user could click it to perform certain action. Good. So now notice text view is red, that means it's not recognizing it. So I will do the same thing again, delete the last character and time it again, and then it will show me the list of classes that I could import. Then I will select the first one, text view, which will import the definition of or this class basically. Then the error will go away. Good. So the next steps now, basically here we are in a Java class. We want to link this variable to the UI element inside the user interface we created earlier, right? Notice here, then on create, basically first things this method will do, will set the content view using the activity underscore main. So it will basically get this file and then create a view out of it and assign it to this activity. Okay. And basically now inside here what we want to do, click a button. I want assign to this button will reference to the will be reference to the UI element inside the XML file we created earlier. So to do that we'll use a method find view by ID, then it's okay r.id look for element with the ID button. This is the ID of the button we created earlier. So if you look here, this is the button and the ID is button. Basically we are linking this button with the variable inside the Java class. Okay, so this is the Java class here. So this method will do that for us. So we'll do the same thing for edit text, say username equal find view by ID r.id dot username edit username edit text basically. So now what this will do, will link the user name, the variable here, with the UI element in the XML file. Okay, we'll do the same thing for db equal find view by ID r.id and text view 2. Remember the second UI was text view 2, so basically this one here id is text view 2. So basically now we linked all this variable with the UI elements. Okay, good. What we want to do next is basically assign we want to, when the button is clicked, we want to perform basically getting user name maybe and displaying it on the text view or displaying it in toast message. So how do we do that? Go to button, then say set on click listener. Inside type the following: new view on click listener, and basically it will add this code. Okay, just type new space view and click listener, then it will create this for you. And inside on click, any code we put here basically will be executed. So on click listener will be invoked or called whenever the button is clicked. Okay, very good. So let's test that. There is a class called toast. Make text, then say type main activity dot this comma hello comma and long or toast. This basically it displays this hello there text whenever is clicked. Okay, when you type this, just type main activity dot this hello there in double quotes and toast dot length long, then dot show, close parentheses and dot show. Now let's test this and see. If I run it, so this is if I click here, see display hellos. Click again, display hellos. That means each time we click the button, this code is being executed. If you get an error, check the following: check that the ID are correct. The ID you are using here is the same one in the XML file. Okay, make sure you import all the classes, button, edit text, text view. Okay, and make sure you link this variable with the UI element using find view by ID. Okay, very good. So now if I want to display some text on the screen, for example, the user name on the screen. We could do that. First, we will get the username, say string name. We want to get the username. The username will be, the user will type the name inside the edit text. So we go to the edit text. See, there is a method called get text. Call that method and then convert it. Whatever we get, we convert that to string. So now this will give us the username, and basically let me, instead of saying hi there, now I could say, I will put this here after. Instead of saying hi there, I could say hello plus name. Basically displays the name of the person, if hello Tim, hello John, and so on. Okay, let's test this one. Run it again, stop it and run it again. Then let's type the person name, Tim, and if I click here, say hello Tim. See, it's getting the name from here and displaying it. So if I change this to Jane, say hello Jane. Okay, very good. The last thing we want to do is to display hello Jane or Jim on the screen, on the text view. So let's do that. To do that, we'll select TV, set text. Basically, we'll select the text view and call a method called set text, and on set text we just say hello. Could say, come here and say hello. Concatenate the name is hello, and basically this will do it. Okay, let's test it. Run. Change to Tim. Click the button and say hello Tim. If I change the name to Jane, it says hello Jane. Okay, very good. So in this example, basically we saw how to create the user interface. We saw how to add button, how to add edit text, how to add text view. We saw how to change the properties, for example the color, the text size, okay, the text view or a button. Okay, and also we saw how to find the ID of each element and how we could change it, okay, when we create the user interface. Inside the Java class, we saw how to declare variables, and then we saw how to link this variable with the UI elements using the method find view by ID, and then we saw how to add click listener to a button using set on click listener. Okay, and then inside that on click listener, we saw how to display a toast message, how to get user input and display it on a text view. Very